Did you know that it rains 250 days a year in Ketchikan, Alaska? In this video, I'm sharing with you the top things to know for when you get off of your cruise at port in Ketchikan, Alaska. I'm gonna share with you the two things that I did at port so you have some ideas of things that you can do too. And then what are some of the top things that people do or consider when at port here? And then finally, let's talk about some fun things to know about Ketchikan, Alaska, because you're about to travel here coming up. And if you're new here, ahoy, I'm Lozada. I came to port here with Virgin Voyages. Book your cruise with us. Even if you're already booked, be a smart traveler and just send us a quick text, email, use the form, give us a phone call, and just make sure you're getting an amazing deal on your sailing. Let's dive in with the first three things to know when you get off the cruise ship. The first thing to know is where exactly are you? There are 4 berths or docks at Front Street in Ketchikan, Alaska. And both times, because I was here twice on Virgin Voyages, because I did a back-to-back sailing, we were at berth 2 both times. Regardless of which berth you're at, you're basically just a couple-minute walk from the main Front Street. So this is an excellent port because you're literally right at where you want to be, and you're not doing a lot of traveling to get there. You can literally walk there straight from the ship. Well, that is unless you're at berth 4. So that one might be like a 10-minute walk to like the main Front Street, Creek Street area. So that one's a little bit longer. The next thing to know is that getting off the ship can take a while. And here's what I mean by that. Ketchikan and Alaska in general, this is a place where people are like, oh yeah, like I'm on this cruise ship to go to port. So lots of people are trying to get off as soon as the ship gets to port. This is different than, you know, like a 4-night Miami sailing where people are like, nah, I'm just staying on the ship today. Like, not a big deal. I did this cruise last weekend. Alaska is a place where lots of people are excited to get off the ship. So lots of people will be lined up, and just make sure you're leaving time for that. It's just busy when you're first getting off the ship, which means number 3, make sure you're dressed appropriately. You're dressed for the inside. You might be waiting inside for a minute as everyone's waiting to get outside. And then once you get outside, make sure you got your layers ready, because going back to the intro, 250 days a year it rains here. So making sure you have all your rain gear ready. I have an entire Alaska pack list. Don't miss it in the description and the what to pack video as well. All right, you ready? Let's talk about the 2 different shore excursions that one of them got canceled, but let's talk about the first one, which, to be honest, Knudson. I did not pronounce it correctly when I was on the boat. So let's go live over to Knudson Marina, where I did an all-day fishing charter, and it was really fun.
So excited to be out on the water. I love being on a boat, and right now we are fishing. We're at Knudson Cove. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But there's a couple helpful things to know about the shore excursion, shore thing that we're doing right now. I chose to do the salmon adventure. So we have 3 fishing poles out right now, and we are trolling for not just salmon, but all kinds of fish. And each of the different poles is kind of at a different depth, and they're all gonna catch different things. So really excited for that. But we just got out on the water, and one of the helpful things to know about Ketchikan is that it rains a lot here. You'll hear all about that in some of the details about this area that I'll share with you in this video. But we ended up getting a really gorgeous day. I cannot believe the weather we're getting today. I'm still dressed in about 5,000 or 6,000 layers, just in case. But being prepared is everything. The small boat that we're on has an interior area and an exterior area. So you kind of hang out inside or outside. And so weather dependent, right? You can kind of choose your adventure. But this shore thing is from 9:30 to 2. And so the ship actually got into port at 9 a.m. So we were just in line with all the people getting off as soon as it was time to get off. It's part of the reason why I'm glad that I booked it through Virgin Voyages and not from an outside company, right? Because we otherwise would have been a little bit late. But our excursion started at 9:30, and they just had everyone out there holding the signs, and then we got whisked away onto a bus, and that bus was shared with a lot of other excursions that were happening in this area. So everyone from the cruise ship got onto the bus, and then once we got to the cove, which was about a 25 minute drive, a really pretty one too, and it wasn't just a drive. What was cool was the bus driver was actually giving us info about Ketchikan. So it was really nice to be able to have like a little bit of a tour You hear some of the stories about Ketchikan. And then once we got off on the other side, at the actual cove, it was actually like well supported. Like it wasn't just a dock with a boat. It was a bunch of boats there, but in the marina, they had like a shop with a bunch of different snacks and foods and different items. A bunch of people bought beers and filled the cooler with it. And then they also had like restrooms and just things like that. Clothing if you had forgotten something, etc. But they had that at the marina. And then we got onto the boat. It's a very small boat. This is a small tour. It holds 6 people max, not including the captain. We got Captain Jerry out here. And so we're all just hanging out, drinking beers, chilling on the water, and we're trolling for fish. And so all of us were required to get our sports fishing license, which is a one-day license, is $15 per person. And we, in addition to that, got the king salmon stamp, which is an additional $15 per person. So that is an additional cost on top of the shore thing price. But that was something that we had to make sure we had completed online before we got here. And then we're just, I mean, these views are absolutely spectacular. This is definitely one where if it was raining, I might feel a little different about it. So that's just one thing to consider. But this has been a great activity so far. And we are on the water fishing.
After I got off of the fishing boat, I tried to go to the most famous Alaskan Fish House place to eat fish and chips and crab, but it was a really long line and it was kind of raining outside. So we'll talk about that in the next part because I did go there. But instead I went to the Krabby Krab. I actually really enjoyed going to the Krabby Krab. It's a little indoor spot right in that main area of the downtown. And I didn't just order crab. I ordered crab and then I was like, oh wow, this is really good. And I ordered even more crab thereafter. The fish and chips were awesome. They have a great beer flight as well as a wine list. Oh my gosh, this was some of the best clam chowder I've ever had. So the Krabby Krab is a great alternative if, like the first time I tried to go, the Alaskan Fish House is too busy. So let's talk about the second time I was at port. But if you're getting some value out of this video, cheers that like button, consider subscribing. And if there's something that you're researching, we're all a community. Add it in the comments below. Let's help each other to be smart travelers and book your cruise with us. It takes literally just a second to send us a text message or fill out the form. We got you. Being a top 10 first mate really does mean we have a ton of experience and a ton of knowledge. The second time I was at port, my shore excursion got canceled. And now this is actually, this is good news for you. Let me tell you why. This is good news because I was forced to have a plan B, which I knew to be the case because 250 days a year of rain, that's a lot of frickin' rain. Having a plan B in Ketchikan is really important. And so I want to share my plan B as well as new plan C, D, E, and F that I discovered while I was at port because there are a lot of options available to you. What I had originally planned was to do this 2-hour plane ride around, like flying low near the mountains and looking at all the views. Oh man, I definitely don't want to be on that thing if it's raining and also if the visibility is low. The last thing I want to do is, spend some time on the side of a mountain in all right, we're not going to put that out to the world. All right, so that got canceled due to the rain and low visibility. And so a helpful thing to know is when you first get out of the port, there are some excursion operators that are right there. But if you walk down the dock area, there is a proper visitor center. And I popped into there because, honestly, going into the visitor centers are amazing because these are all people that, like me, want to help you travel and travel smarter and find the thing that's right for you. And so when I went in there first, I looked at the maps and I was like, oh, cool. There's free maps in there. And I talked to the person working at the front. If you were to walk around, what's your favorite place to walk? And one thing you should do is walk up Creek Street. And, one other thing you should do, if the salmon are running, there's an area of Creek Street where you can look over the bridge and see them swimming by. How freaking cool is that? So that's definitely one thing you want to consider doing is doing that walk. I walked around way too much. It wasn't that much walking, but I get cold really easily. So I did not do that. Also, the salmon are not running. But the other thing you should do at the visitor center is walk to the back because in that area, there's lots of tour operators all set up in there with brochures and talking to you about what they got going out that day. Because the thing about Ketchikan is you will not be alone. There's lots of cruise ships that are going to be there, which book your cruise with us. And what thing to know is that they're all ready to receive you. So when I was back there, here's some of the options that I found. One was whale watching. So there's boats that go out, and if I'm going to be totally honest, if you are booking same day, there's a risk because maybe there's no availability, but there's also the upside that you can negotiate with them. Yeah, I'm willing to pay cash. And I have, a large group of people, can we reduce the price? These are things they are willing to have a conversation with you about. And so whale watching was one of the options. The other one was the trolley. This is a really popular one. This is it runs every 30 minutes or so, and there's a few operators out there. So that's another option, especially if it's raining. That's a great way to be able to learn about and still see the area while staying dry at the same time. But you wanna know what I did? I walked around and then I looked at the muscles of men who were cutting wood. I mean, naturally, the lumberjack show. It's such a popular thing. And to be honest, I didn't really want to go. But then I met Aiden and was like, oh, this whole lumberjack thing sounds kind of interesting. He's really knowledgeable about stuff. And that sounded, please don't leave any comments about that. He talked to me a lot about cutting wood. Oh man, this all sounds bad. All right, anyway, the lumberjack show, really popular thing to do. Lots of people who have gone before told me, hey, it's actually really interesting to go. So I wanted to check that out. So here's the walk that I did. First, I went to the downtown area and I went into the Salty Siren. Fantastic coffee shop. Such a great place to sit down, have something warm to drink, get out of the rain for a second. And then afterwards, y'all know I love Ben Price, such a great mentalist and magician. I went with him to the Alaskan Fish House. And the thing to know about the Alaskan Fish House is when you're walking over there, you'll see the line. And that's because the counter is right at the front, and then the line can often extend to outside, which they need to put some kind of umbrella there because you're oftentimes standing in the rain. We got really lucky, no rain this day, but you order at the counter and you take your number and you go sit down at the open communal tables, or there's an outside area as well. And so you take your number and you sit down, super casual place. Fish and chips, super popular. Lots of different kinds of fish and chips. Ben Price got the halibut. And for me, I love eating crab. I was all about that crab life. So I got the crab. Just great to sit down, eat delicious food, sit near the window or sit outside if it's a nice day. I loved this spot. The Krabby Krab is another option for another place to go if this one's busy, but Alaskan Fish House, I can see why everyone says you have to go here. And then right next door to it is the lumberjack show. So this is a very popular thing to do. It's only about an hour or so, and lots of people attend it. I just walked in, hey, do you have any tickets left? There was literally one ticket left. I was that one ticket. And the other thing is that I sat in overflow. And what that means is most of the seats, or all of the seats actually, are under a cover. But if you're in overflow, you are exposed to the elements. And luckily there was a break in the rain, so I sat there in my big coat and I watched the lumberjack show. There are options to do this as a shore excursion or a shore thing, and they have optional add-ons for eating unlimited crab on site, things like that. And so I just went in, grabbed a ticket, the last ticket, and sat down to watch the show. It actually was really fun. They do a lot of different competitions and they really get the audience involved. And so it's fun to cheer for your side and watch them cut that wood and balance on the logs and all the fun things that they do in the lumberjack show. So if you're wondering what else is there to do besides these things that I've talked about so far, let's talk about 3 other options available to you. And don't forget, check the description. This video is part of an entire playlist. I have other port vlogs, as well as that Alaska pack list, as well as just a million resources that people miss. And don't forget, book your cruise with us. We got you. Even if you've already booked, price compare with us. It just takes a second. One of the things that a lot of people do at port here that was also highly recommended to me is the Bering Sea Crab Fisherman's Tour. And this is a catch boat. This is one that was highly recommended, actually by Ben Price. And then another one is, the thing about Ketchikan is it's totem poles galore. And so looking at the different totem pole tours, if that's something that's of interest to you, is another top thing that people do. And then the last one is one that I had actually considered, and I saw people doing this while I was on the fishing boat, which is kayaking. And it's one where, right, it's weather dependent. So it's one that if you know you're gonna get great weather and you wanna spend time on the water in that way, consider kayaking. But these are 3 other ideas of things to do. All right, let's talk about 5 fun things to know about Ketchikan, and maybe 6, because let's talk about crab, because I learned some things about crab. The first one is the totem poles thing. So Ketchikan is just known as the place where there's more totem poles than anywhere else on Earth. There's 80 totem poles here. That's kind of a fun thing. The next thing to know is we talked about that Creek Street, being able to see the salmon. This is a place where there's 5 species of salmon. You can just see them, right, from that bridge. And also, it's the salmon capital. It's just neat, cool, salmon. The entire road system is 32 miles end to end. There's no road that goes in or out of town, and you basically arrive here by boat or plane. So that's kind of neat. The other thing is that the airport is on a different island, and you actually have to take a 5-minute ferry. So like coming here by cruise is actually a really excellent way to come here. And the population is only around 8,000 people. This is not a hugely populated area. Let's talk about the crab thing really quick, because this was one where I was like, why? Like, why is it so freaking expensive? When you get king crab, it's not cheap. Like a single crab leg, they're really big crab legs, by the way. A single crab leg is like $75 to $85 versus getting like a half crab of a normal kind of crab costs significantly less. One thing to know, I was like, why does it cost that much? The king crab, it takes a long time for them to grow to their adult size, and the population of them is not very big. So that means when they are sustainably caught in Alaska, there's not a lot of them, it's a process, and it takes a long time for them to get big. And so that's why it costs so much. But to be honest, that crab doesn't really taste, in my opinion, as like sweet and succulent. Tell me in the comments what you think about Alaskan crab versus snow crab. That's not snow crab. I'm gonna put words on the screen, the other crab. Anyway, I hope you go to Ketchikan and get crabs. That's the end of that story. Ketchikan, Alaska, I'm so excited for you to come here on Virgin Voyages. It's gonna be a great time. Tell me in the comments below what you're considering doing and when you're setting sail. I would love to know. I'm Lozada. Do not miss all the resources in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.